Okay, what we have here is level 2 algebra. We're going to do some more simplifying of algebra and algebra equations. So just going over these rules really carefully. When multiplying terms, we add the powers. So here we've got x2q, x3q. We end up with 2q plus 3q gives me 5q. Multiplying, I've got x 1 plus p, 1 minus p. So I'm going to end up with x to the power of 2, and the plus p and minus p kind of cancel one another out. This one here, when we're dividing, we must subtract the powers. So just to really make it clear, we've got p to the power of q minus r minus q, which really means p q minus r plus q. So really that's p 2q minus 2r. Just to make sure that you understand the subtracting the q, minus q gives me, minus r gives me minus r, and then a minus times minus gives me a plus. So we had a q plus a q gives me 2q, a minus r and a minus r gives me minus 2r. Okay, this one here, again, we've got x2 plus a, 2a plus 1, sorry, and x1 minus a. So really, we've got the x to the power of 2a plus 1, in brackets, subtract, because we've got to subtract 1 minus a, which equals x 2a plus 1 minus 1 plus a. So to clarify, just moving along, so the minus 1, minus times minus gives you plus 1. So x 2a plus an a gives me 3a, plus 1 minus 1, they cancel out. Okay, our next one here, getting rid of these brackets first, we're going to have 5 to the power of 4, x to the power of 8, y to the power of 4, all over 25 to the power of 2, x to the power of 2, y to the power of 2 threes of 6. Okay, now I would suggest at this point that you grab a calculator to make sure you do this correctly. So simply work out your 5 to the power of 4, 5 hat 4, that's 625. Okay, and your 25 hat 2, that's also 625. So they actually cancel out. You've got x to the 8, x to the 2 leaves x6, y4, y was your y2 on the bottom line, so we actually end up with x to the 6, y squared. So just do that in steps, expanding out your brackets, work out your numbers, and then 8 subtract 2 is 6, 6 subtract 4 is 2, so 2 is obviously on the bottom line, and then they cancel one another out completely to equal 1. Right, moving on to the next one. 32 to the power of 3, all over 8 to the power of 3. Now the clever thing about 32 is actually 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. That's all to the power of 3. Now 8, as we know, is 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, and that's to the power of 3 also. So, if we don't want to use our calculator, we can simply say, I've got 3 lots of this over 3 lots of that. Each time, I'm going to cross off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm actually left with 4 to the power of 3, which equals 4 times 4, 16, times 4 is 64. So that's the actual answer. And just checking, sorry, with your calculator, let's do 32, sorry, just move that down, 32 hat 3, and I'm going to divide that all by 8 hat 3, and it gives us the answer 64, which is what we had. Right, looking at this next one here, again, expanding those brackets, so it's going to be 10 to the power 2, 100. x to the power of 4 times x to the power of 6, 5 to the power of 2 is 25. We know that 100 divided by 25 is 4, because they're going to multiply through. So I'll just write it in full for you. So it's 100x6 over 25x4. So that's 4x squared is when it's completely simplified. Alright, now we're going to look at something a little bit more complicated, and this involves simplifying, but before we actually do some multiplying. So as you can see, when we are multiplied through up here by the 100 and the 25, they ended up cancelling one another out to be 4. Same thing's happening here. We multiplied through by x plus 3 and x plus 3. They will actually cancel one another out, so we can take them right up front. Now we're going to factorise the top line. So two numbers that make 8 and 6 are 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 plus 4 is 6. And on the bottom line, two numbers that make 8 with a difference of 2, so it's again 2 and 4, x, except this time it's going to be plus 4, take away 2. These two cancel, and so we're left with x plus 2, x minus 2, and that's that one completed. So I'll just slide that across. Alright, let's try something even more complicated, but not really. We've just got to be very careful and look carefully for factorizations. So I'm going to propose we factorise the whole thing before we do anything. So let's look at the top line here. Two numbers that make 28, 4 and 7, and they add x. So that's this equation here is now factorised, or dividing by. On the bottom line, x plus 1, x plus 2, x minus 1, because that will give me my negative 2 and my plus x. And then moving along, I'm going to have, for factorisation of this top line here, I'm going to use 7 and 5, x plus 7, x minus 5, because that gives me 35, 7 5 is 35, and plus 7 take off 5 gives me plus 2. On the bottom line here, I'm going to have, to make 6, 3 and 2, so it's x plus 3 and x plus 2. That multiplying gives me plus 6, and when I add them, it gives me plus 5. Now remember, when we divide by a fraction, we actually end up multiplying. We have to change it to a multiplication by the reciprocals of the second term. So this term has to flip over. So we write the first term as usual, x plus 4, x plus 7, all over x plus 2, in bracket, x minus 1, in brackets, and then we multiply x plus 3, x plus 2, x plus 7, x minus 5. Now we're allowed to start crossing off because it's multiplication. So on the top line here, I see an x plus 2. On the bottom line, I see an x plus 2. On the top line, I see an x plus 7. On the bottom line, I see an x plus 7. So that leaves me with x plus 4, x plus 3, all over x minus 1, x minus 5. And you can leave it like that. It's completed.